Sankar sir. Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to thank Sun Pharma for giving this opportunity. So this is a kind of a exclusive webinar only to our neurology PGs. Shankar sir is there, sir. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm there. Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you for joining.
Ah.
So they wanted to take a webinar for our students, sir. So I spoke to Ritvik and few of our PGs. So they wanted few topics. So we chose this topic, approach to neurodegenerative disorders. So neurodegenerative disorder is an exclusive pediatric neurology topic, but like many times in facilities or centers where you go and work as a neurology team members, so you may not have a full-fledged pediatric neurology support. So in that case, sometimes we may have to manage, or sometimes neurodegenerative disorders which have onset in childhood when they become adults. So in that situation, also adult neurology colleagues may be managing them. Or even there are some rare neurodegenerative disorders which have onset in adulthood. So that is the reason behind this topic. So by and large, what are neurodegenerative disorders? Neuroregressive or neurodegenerative disorders are a group of heterogeneous disorders which result from specific genetic, biochemical, chronic, viral, or toxic. So it is not a single entity, and many times we think neurodegenerative is just genetic or metabolic. It's not so. It can be due to other entities like chronic viral, like SSP is one classical example, or it could be due to toxic, for example, like lead poison. So we should have a broad spectrum of etiologies under the band of neurodegenerative disorders. Yeah, I understand a majority of them are genetic or metabolic. So they predominantly involve the gray matter and white matter. That is why they are called as neurodegenerative disorders. So to label a disorder or an entity as neurodegenerative, we call it as NDD, neurodegenerative disorder. These are the two key primary features, clinical features, which should be there. Without these two features, we can't call a disorder as neurodegenerative. What are those two key features? One is regression, another is progressive neurological deterioration. By regression, we mean there is a loss of previously acquired milestones or skills. For example, a child, say up to 7 years of age, he was perfectly normal, his development was normal, he has acquired his milestones normal for his age. But now, for recent, he has started to lose those acquired skills or milestones. Then it is considered as regression. And this regression should also be kind of a progressive. That means like by day or by week, he is losing further newer milestones as well. And it has to last for a reasonable period of time. Just one or few milestones lost for a short period will not be considered as classic regression. Some consensus or some general agreement is on 3 months. So loss of acquired milestones over 3 months is considered as regression. Coming to the next point, progressive neurological deterioration. So in any neurological functioning, if there is a deterioration, that has to be progressive, will be considered as this progressive neurological deterioration. For example, vision, speech, motor abilities, hearing, or seizures, like you have increasing frequency of seizures, feeding disability, cognitive or intellectual impairment. If any of this neurological functioning is progressively worsening, then it is called progressive neurological deterioration. These two features should be there to label an entity as neurodegenerative. Okay, so there is a category of neurodegenerative disorders. These are the newer terminologies. Under the spectrum of progressive encephalopathies, we have poliodystrophy, leukodystrophy, diffuse encephalopathy, core encephalopathy, spinocerebellopathy. Polio, the word polio refers to gray. So poliodystrophy, here we are referring to gray matter disorders. Leukodystrophy, we all know, white matter disorders. Diffuse encephalopathies, both gray matter and white matter are equally or predominantly involved. Core encephalopathy. Core means body. For example, here the body refers to basal ganglia or the deep gray matter, caudate, putamen, and globus pallidus. So deep gray matter involvement is called core encephalopathy. If you have the involvement of spinocerebellar system, it's called spinocerebellar spinocerebellopathies. So these are the new. This is a newer classification of progressive encephalopathies. So, for example, we would like to have more interactive. Ritvik, can you give one prototype example for each of this? Could be any childhood or adolescent or juvenile, any age.
Sir, for leukodystrophy, we can take it as adrenal leukodystrophy, sir.
Yeah.
So poliodystrophy, I'm not sure, sir. Probably a chronic viral etiologies can predispose.
You can even think of adult onset disorders also.
Okay, sir. So diffuse encephalopathies are toxin-induced or hepatic encephalopathies. Spinocerebellopathies, scars, are the dominant scars and all those things.
Good. Core encephalopathy?
That I'm not sure, sir.
Wilson's, yeah. Okay. So, for example, let's say take an juvenile or adult onset itself. Poliodystrophy, classic example is neuronal ceroid lipopacinosis, NCL. It's a classic poliodystrophy, gray matter. Leukodystrophy, we all know adrenoleukodystrophy or Alexander Canavan's leukodystrophy. Diffuse encephalopathies, like both gray matter and white matter predominantly involved, can be like anything, like say ASSP or a HIV. All these can cause diffuse encephalopathies. Core encephalopathy is basal ganglia involvement predominant. Here, Wilson's is the classic phenotype. Spinocerebellopathy, more than SCAs, ataxia telangiectasia. SCAs is also under that category. Ataxia telangiectasia is a progressive condition. So these are some of the prototypes for us to understand. Okay, so depending on the age of onset, it is classified as early infantile, late infantile, childhood, juvenile, adult. These are the age spectrum. Less than 1 year is called early infantile. Up to 2 years, late infantile. Childhood is 2 to 5, juvenile 5 to 15, and we also have adult onset. Okay, so we all know which is gray matter, which is white matter. I'm not going into the details of much, but remember there is one entity where involvement of one of these can lead to a secondary degeneration of the other system. For example, you have a white matter predominant involvement. Over a period of time, the gray matter also gets involved and damaged. So what is that called, Akshay?
Not sure, sir.
Valerian degeneration. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's called secondary Valerian degeneration. Okay, so this is one mnemonic to remember what are the spectrum of disorders under the neurodegenerative category. So remember women's. So W stands for white matter disorders, O stands for others, M stands for mitochondrial. Nowadays, mitochondrial is considered as one of a broad spectrum of neurodegenerative disorders. E stands for epilepsy predominant phenotype. So here the phenotype of PME comes, progressive myoclonic epilepsy, wherein you have progressive myoclonus, you have ataxia, you have cognitive decline. So predominant manifestations. N, neurotransmitted disorders. Neurotransmitted disorders are one group of diagnoses where there are multiple manifestations, predominantly like a movement disorder or epilepsy, wherein the MRI, the structural, it is normal, whereas it is a functional abnormality at the level of neurotransmitters. One of the classical example being a dopa responsive dystonia phenotypes. S stands for storage disorders, that is lysosomal storage disorders. We have a lot of conditions which we'll be seeing in subsequent slides. For example, one classic phenotype is mucopolysaccharidosis is one example of storage disorder. So remember, women's white matter disorder, others, mitochondrial, epilepsy predominant, neurotransmitter, storage disorder. Here, others refers to miscellaneous causes, like I previously told, chronic viral infections, toxins, or even nutritional causes. Which nutritional cause will lead to vitamin B12 deficiency? Is Shravya there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Which nutritional cause can lead to neurodegeneration?
Vitamin E, B12.
Vitamin B12 is a classic example of neurodegeneration. Yeah, that is good. Okay. So now having understood the basics, let's go to the approach. So these are the 5 points one need to understand. This, if you have these 5 points in your under your control, you'll be able to find out the basic approach. What is the age of onset, which we have previously discussed? Early infantile, late infantile, juvenile, or adult or adolescent onset. Is it a static disorder or progressive disorder? If at all it is progressive, rule out the causes of pseudo regression. Then you find out the onset. Is it a predominant gray matter onset or a predominant white matter onset? Then you look for some specific clues like head size, dysmorphism, and organomegaly. Remember this 5 points while you are approaching any patient with a regression or a progressive neurological deterioration. Okay. So how do we differentiate a white matter onset versus a gray matter onset? So we all know the functions of gray matter, so they will get affected. For example, seizures are an early and predominant manifestation of gray matter. Cognitive impairment is a severe and early manifestation of gray matter. Vision. Vision can be affected in both conditions. Here in gray matter, vision affection is due to retinal degeneration, whereas in white matter, it is because of the optic nerve involvement. Tonal abnormality is a control and is controlled by white matter, so it is present early in white matter, not in gray matter. Tone and motor go together hand in hand. So motor regression is the initial feature in white matter, whereas it's a late presentation in the gray matter. So seizure, cognitive impairment, vision impairment due to retinal degeneration, late tone or motor impairment, that is gray matter. Or the opposite of this presentation is white matter. Age of onset, it is little bit variable, but usually white matter disorders are lysosomal storage disorders. So the storage product has to accumulate in the brain. So that usually takes a longer period to manifest. So white matter disorders are usually late onset. Gray matter disorders are usually early onset, but it can be vice versa. For example, we have Canavan's disease, which can have a start onset in the infantile period. Canavan's is a white matter disorder. Similarly, NCL can have an onset in the adulthood. What is adult onset NCL called, Ritvik?
Not sure, sir.
Hello. Yeah. Anybody? PGs?
Kuffs, sir.
Kuffs disease. KUFS. So you can have rare exceptions. Head size, because there is a storage product in white matter, it can have a large head. Large head is not because of hydrocephalus or the bone. It's because of the large brain per se. The large brain per se is called as megalencephaly. Gray matter disorder, because it is getting deposited in the cell bodies of the neurons, they slowly degenerate. That rather leads to microcephaly usually. Seizures, we already discussed. It is late in white matter. Peripheral nerves. Peripheral nerves are axons. So they are white matter. So there will be a demyelinating features in white matter disorders, whereas the late axonal loss can be seen in gray matter disorders. Spasticity, tonal involvement, early in white matter, late in gray matter. Deep tendon reflexes are absent if you have neuropathy in white matter disorders, or exaggerated if you have long tract involvement. In gray matter disorders, it can be normal to exaggerated. For example, your adrenoleukodystrophy or metachromatic leukodystrophy are classic white matter disorders, wherein the peripheral neuropathy is a initial presentation. So you will have a knee jerk which is brisk, ankle jerk may not be elicitable. That is a feature of peripheral neuropathy in white matter disorders. Okay, cerebellar system is predominantly white matter. So you'll have cerebellar predominant signs in white matter disorders. In gray matter, it may be late. Fundus, as we have already seen, retina is considered as gray matter. Optic nerve is considered as white matter. So retinal degeneration is seen in gray matter. Optic nerve is seen in white matter. Optic atrophy. EEG. Diffuse delta slowing can be seen in white matter. Epileptiform activity, because of the cortical involvement, can be seen in gray matter. Nerve conduction, we already saw demyelination in white matter, so slow nerve conduction velocity. In gray matter, it can be normal. Evoked potentials, it is mediated by the axons, so you will have a white matter disorders getting prolonged, whereas it will be normal in gray matter disorders. ERG, retina, it is abnormal in gray matter, normal in white matter. So I think this is very basic for your understanding or approach to a case, as well as for your viva. So remember, seizure, cognition are two predominant manifestations of gray matter disorder, and tonal abnormalities, spasticity, involvement of deep tendon reflex are predominant manifestations of white matter disorders. Okay, so history, age of onset, other neurological features, higher mental functions. So we all know all these things. Cranial nerve deficit, change in personality, deterioration of school performance, increased startle or hyperacusis. Is anybody in which condition you get exaggerated startle or hyperacusis with respect to neurodegenerative disorder? It's a lysosomal storage disorder. It can present
So,
with features related plus neural
Niemann-Pick,
problems,
sir.
macrocephaly, but no organomegaly. What did you say? I could not get it.
Niemann-Pick, sir.
More than that, what will be the first choice of answer? No organomegaly.
Galactosemia.
Tay-Sachs disease. Tay-Sachs disease is one which presents with neurodegeneration, gray matter manifestation, seizures, no organomegaly. That is known to have exaggerated startle, classic school. Deterioration school performance is very important. So, because many neurodegenerative disorders like SSPE begins with deterioration school performance, your Wilson starts with decline in school performance, even Alexander, ADHD. So, these disorders, so that is very initial clue. Okay, so and of course we go to the perinatal, postnatal development. Development is very important to see how much milestones have been achieved and what are the regression. Sometimes before the onset of regression, there can be a delayed development. Family history is exceptionally very important. 3-generation pedigree, history of consanguinity, family history of neurological disorders, early or unexplained death, nature of neurological manifestations. All these should be clarified. In which condition you have disease being affected in adults, but in subsequent generations, you have more severe phenotype and early onset. What is this phenomena called, Akshay?
Anticipation, sir.
Yeah, which neurodegenerative disorder will have anticipation?
Well, trinucleotide repeat disorder, sir.
Yeah, your even SCS, they are also one category of neurodegenerative disorder. Good. Okay, so having done with the history, the examination, one should focus on dysmorphism. I will show you some interesting cases. Some of the conditions associated with dysmorphism are core species which are seen in mucopolysaccharidosis, rarely peroxisomal disorders like Zellweger. Microcephaly in head size is very, very important. Is it a large gut or small gut? Large gut is seen in Alexander and Canavan. Presence of jaundice. You recently discussed about Niemann-Pick. Niemann-Pick type is associated with jaundice. Some lysosomal storage disorders are jaundice. Enlarged tongue. All these lysosomal storage disorders where the product is not getting metabolized due to an enzyme defect gets deposited in bones, brain, viscera, and all these places. So you have megalencephaly, you have macroglossia, tongue, you have organomegaly, hepatosplenomegaly. You have deposition in the bones that leads to a set of skeletal abnormalities. There is a label given to that. What is the set of skeletal abnormality called as in lysosomal storage disorder? It is called as dysostosis multiplex.
Yes, sir.
Then you look for skin and hair, look for Mongolian spot, heart nerve disease, will have a pellagra-like flash. Hair is very important. Menkes disease is a rare disease. It's a gray matter disorder seen in early infancy. You will have a kinky hair. Examination of spine for scoliosis, contractures for joints. Systemic examination, we have already discussed hepatosplenomegaly, chest deformity, and cardiomyopathy. Yeah, fundus is very important. Optic atrophy, retinal degeneration, cherry red spot, retinitis pigmentosa, cataract, telangiectasias, KFA. So all these are viva questions usually in pediatric neuro. You also may get some questions. So can you name few diseases with cherry red spot? Ritvik, some few diseases.
Tay-Sachs disease, sir. And
Tay-Sachs, even Niemann-Pick.
Niemann-Pick, yes, sir.
Yeah, so they can. So you should I think you should revise what are the diseases associated with cherry red spot. These are common ones. And retinitis pigmentosa.
A-beta lipoproteinemia, sir.
Yes, A-beta lipoproteinemia, Russell's disease.
Russell's
Even
disease.
HCl is associated with retinal degeneration. Cataract.
Wilson, sir. Borges.
Yeah. Telangiectasia, you know. Okay, neurological examination, mental function, signs of vibration, memory, deficient, tone is very important, look for spasticity, look for any sensory loss, neuropathy, abnormal movement. So as usual, we go through this. So by the end of this, you should be able to see is there a regression, and it is not just a developmental delay. What is the age? Any visceromegaly? Any signs of neuropathy? Any gray matter or white matter disease? So before this, before we go to this, we discussed a point called pseudo regression. So pseudo regression basically means there is a regression of milestone, but it is not due to a true neurodegenerative disorder. There is some kind of a confounder here. So can anybody say a few causes of pseudo regression? Chandu is there. He can participate. Yeah. Pseudo regression.
Any intercurrent illness, fever, any stressful
okay.
situation.
So any patient with some neurological condition will look like losing some milestones if he has some significant intercurrent illnesses like sepsis or any major illness. That is one. Next is if you have an unremitting or uncontrolled epilepsy, that can also lead to some loss of milestones. Third is presence of a new onset movement disorder. For example, in cerebral palsy, it is not a neurodegenerative condition; it's a static condition. But you can get a new onset movement disorder anytime. That, for example, the patient develops a chorea or an ascitosis of a hand, then he may lose some skills. So that should not be considered as regression. Fourth is presence of drugs like and side effects of anti-epileptics, some toxicity. So all these can mimic regression. So these are some of the things which one should rule out. That is called pseudo regression. Another important cause is presence of a contracture. If you develop a contracture, then the that milestone or the skill related to that joint will also be limited. Okay, so this gives us the entire spectrum of disorders. Neurodegenerative divided into gray matter and white matter. Let us first go to the white matter. White matter, you can have a large head, small head, or you can have hyperpigmentation. Large head, Alexander Canavan. Small head, Krabbe or mitochondrial. Hyperpigmentation, we all know adrenoleukodystrophy. In the gray matter, visceromegaly is very important. Is it present or absent? If it is absent, it can be mitochondrial, Tay-Sachs, NCL, or Menkes disease. If visceromegaly is present, that is called GM1 gangliosidosis. Tay-Sachs is called GM2 gangliosidosis. Sandoff's, Niemann-Pick, mucopolysaccharidosis, Gaucher's, all these will have visceromegaly. So these are all lysosomal storage disorders. So I know it's difficult to grasp in the first go, but you can always go and read in books. Okay, some of the acquired cause of degeneration. So far we have seen genetic and metabolic causes. What are the acquired causes? Infections can be SSPE, progressive rubella syndrome, HIV, even demyelinating disorder. So which demyelinating disorder will mimic neurodegenerative course? Ritvik?
Sir, progressive multiple sclerosis, sir.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. So primary progressive MS can mimic like this. So metabolic conditions, we discussed chronic lead poisoning, hypothyroidism, B12 or E deficiency or drugs. So these are the things which one should rule out when you suspect an acquired neurodegeneration. Okay, so coming to investigation. So of course, MRI brain with or without spectroscopy as fine is the investigation of choice. Then you may have to do a gamut of investigations according to the suspicion. I am not going to the entire details now. You will see the cases one by one, and then we will discuss what investigations will be done. So blood investigations, metabolic investigations, Wilson's investigation according to the suspicion. Sometimes urinary organic acids if you are suspecting IEM. CSF, you may do some amino acids in the CSF, GLUT1, glucose, neurotransmitter assay for neurotransmitter disorders. All these are possible. So we have some mnemonic called GALAC, which is called GALAK, glucose, ammonia, lactate, ketone. That is a basic metabolic workup level 1 done for many disorders, just to rule out what could be the underlying IEM. And of course, we'll go for VEP, ERG if required. Skin and muscle biopsy was done in the pre-genetic era. Nowadays, we no longer do that. Liver biopsy for Wilson's or rare diseases if required, or mitochondrial. So these are now obviated because of the advancement in genetic testing. Skin biopsy. Which condition can be picked up on skin biopsies? Shravya.
Lafora, sir.
Yeah, Lafora and one more also. NCL.
NCL.
Even NCL covers
NCL.
fingerprint inclusions on electron microscopy in the skin biopsy. Okay, so at this stage, any questions, any queries, or anything related to approach? Before we go into the cases, Ritvik, any question?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, so now I'm going to show you some interesting cases. I think some 10-15 cases are there. I will give you clues so that you will be able to answer. So there are three pictures here. This is a baby who is coming to at around 7 months. He was kind of okay till 1 month back. Then he developed an episode of loose stools, diarrhea. Following weeks, there was a loss of milestones. And the child developed dystonia also. And the major clue here is the head size was large head size. So this is the MRI picture and the named finding is given below. So, and yeah, born of consanguineous parentage, and there is a history of sibling death with similar illness in the past. So, is it possible for anybody to connect all these things and give a diagnosis? So, what is the MRI finding, Ritvik? What is it showing?
Sir. Showing
Yeah.
a lot of.
Yeah, so you can see there is an increased CSF space. There is an arrow mark there. There is a significant bilateral frontotemporal atrophy. The entire region is replaced with CSF, right? Or a subdural hygroma. So there is a significant bilateral frontotemporal atrophy. That is called perisylvian spaces are widened out. So this gives the appearance of a bat wing. If you see the bat wing below, so it's a bat wing type of appearance. So they also have basal ganglia changes. So now, in which condition will have macrocephaly in bat wing? So it's an inborn error of metabolism. It's called glutaric acidemia type 1. There are two types, type 1 and type 2. It's an inborn error of metabolism. The diagnosis is by doing a urinary gas chromatography where you will pick up the metabolic being excreted. You can also do genetic testing to find out what gene exactly. The treatment is there are specific diets available. The main cofactor is riboflavin, is supplementation. So this is glutaric acidemia. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is easy one. So the question is, what are the initial screening tests you will do for this patient? 11-year-old child who presents with current episodes of false unsteadiness, and it is a progressive condition. And this is the eye finding. What is the eye finding? What are the initial screening tests you will do?
So, if you can send for alpha fetoprotein and
What is the eye finding?
so it looks like telangiectasia, sir, in the lateral.
Yeah, so she has bilateral ocular telangiectasia. Screening test, yeah, alpha fetoprotein and immunoglobulin profile. So telangiectasia may not be seen in the initial age itself. It may come later. What are the other sites you can look for telangiectasia, and what are the other conditions associated with telangiectasia?
So we have to look in the earlobes, pinna and nose, sir, and extensor aspects.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Any other condition associated with telangiectasia?
Not sure,
Gagan
sir.
is there, huh? Gagan is there?
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah, it's easy. Ataxia telangiectasia like condition. That is something called ataxia telangiectasia like condition. Right?
Yes, sir.
They can have. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, so this we have discussed. So there are two kids here. One had severe neurodegeneration with epilepsy, refractory seizure with alopecia-like features. The other one, you can see the hair is so stiff kind of a hair, and he is kind of hypopigmented. He is very fair. Presentation is seizures. This is the MRA, which shows ectasia of intracranial vessels. So hair abnormality, seizure, and this problem, fair skin color and ectasia of cerebral vessels. So let us go this way. If the patient has seizure as a predominant manifestation, is it gray matter or white matter?
Gray matters.
Gray matter. We can see the age of onset is so early. It is like less than 1 year. Infantile onset. Seizure. Skin hair abnormality. Now you pinpoint the diagnosis?
Sir, I'm just taking a guess, sir. Menkes kinky hair syndrome.
Yeah,
Sir.
yeah, good. It's Menkes disease. So you have to examine the hair under a microscope, and you can see the kinked hair. So it's called Menkes kink hair disease. It is due to ATP7A mutation. 7B will lead to Wilson's disease. 7BA mutation because of a collagen defect. So copper metabolism is interlinked here. So sometimes copper histidine is used as a kind of a therapy in rare cases. So this is Menkes disease. Diagnosis is established by not electron microscopy, hair microscopy. Okay, so this is a little bit difficult. You have a baby who has neuroregression in the form of loss of motor milestones. Floppy. He is currently 1 year of age. He has lost neck control, sitting with support. He is floppy. There are some clues which are provided here. We have a gum hypertrophy, excessive mongoloid spot. You can see the abdomen, hepatosplenomegaly, pointed. And this is the bone which is showing lots of deformity. Called, if you see the distal end of femur, which is enlargement. So that is called Erlenmeyer class deformity. So you have all the signs of deposition, organomegaly, gum hypertrophy, bone deposition. So it's basically what will be the spectrum of this disease? I don't want the exact disease. What will be the category? Gray matter or white matter? Tone abnormality. No seizure.
White matter, sir.
White matter. So what is the spectrum? Lysosomal storage disorder. So this child, this excessive mongoloid spot is a classic feature of GM2 gangliosidosis. It's a rare lysosomal storage disorder due to an enzyme defect. So basically, if somebody comes to you with this presentation, like organomegaly, bone deformities and all, you should think of lysosomal storage disorder, LSD. Okay, so I think these conditions are seen in adults also sometimes. Pompe's, adult onset is there, Boucher's, Fabry's, Krabbe's. So we can remember the enzyme with this mnemonic. You write PGFK, P stands for Pompe's, G stands for Boucher's, F stands for Fabry's, K stands for Krabbe. Then you write alpha, alpha, beta, beta. You write glucosidase, galactosidase, glucosidase, galactosidase. So this is a simple way. If you remember how to put this table, you will be able to answer. So this is the kind of mnemonic.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What? No, it's a difficult question. Maybe. What is the CNS manifestation of Pompe disease in adults? Which?
Sir, Pompe's disease, respiratory.
Not the muscle manifestation. That is cerebral manifestation. Yeah. Yes, you are saying something.
I was gonna say predominant respiratory weakness with proximal.
That is neuromuscular presentation.
Yes, sir.
They are very prone for cerebral vasculopathy, ectasia, multiple stroke.
Yes.
Disease. What is the manifestation of Fabry's disease?
Angiocarcinoma.
That is a skin manifestation. I mean to say,
Peripheral nerve, sir.
They can have acroparesthesias. They can present you with excruciating pain. Acroparesthesias.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we all know this. So what is this? Look at the faces. He looks very coarse, large head, thick bulbous nose, puffy periorbital faces, thick eyebrows.
Hunter, sir.
Yeah, bony deformity. So it's mucopolysaccharidosis. You have a Hunter on the right. So basically it's Hunter's disease. most of them will have corneal deposits and lead to cloudy cornea. But hunters, you can remember this way, hunters are males usually. So it's an X-linked condition. They need a clear vision for hunting. So clear cornea is in hunter's disease. So he is holding a vial, which is an enzyme replacement therapy. It is available for some of the mucopolysaccharide disease nowadays. Okay, so have a look at this file. Are you able to see a video? Okay, this is a
Yes, sir.
child. He has a mild core species. He presents to the psychiatrist with extreme behavioral issues, chronic, long-lasting, occasional seizure, and this disease is progressive. So, which neurodegenerative condition will have mild core species, rather presents to the psychiatrist first than to the neurologist? Core
Wilson,
spaces. Connect all these things. Core spaces. Yeah. So this is the mucopolysaccharidosis type 3. Have you heard of this condition? Sanfilippo syndrome.
No, sir. No, sir.
Yeah. So this is mucopolysaccharidosis type 3, which will present with these features alone. They will be like considered psychiatric. But if you can pick up a mild core species and you can do the urinary glycosaminoglycan testing or 2D electrophoresis, you can pick up the Sanfilippo syndrome, type 3 MPS. Okay, this is a clear-cut adult case. So, if you tell me the phenomenology and the diagnosis. Okay, Akshay, what is the phenomenology?
Looks like Korea, sir.
Yeah. So you are right. He is having a kind of generalized chorea.
Korea.
So this is a chorea. So why did I put under this category? The child presented to us with some dystonia. So in which condition the father will be having this chorea and the child can present with dystonia? You already answered it, anticipation. The clue is anticipation.
Huntington's, sir.
Yeah, so this is Huntington's chorea, CAG repeats. So the child can have, sometimes there is something called Westphal variant. They present with dystonia rather than chorea. So yeah, so this is another very classic phenomena. So this is a girl child who presents with intellectual disability, significant behavioral issues, autistic phenotype, speech delay, and she has this peculiar recurrent episodes of hand wringing movements.
Rett syndrome, sir.
Excellent. So this is Rett syndrome. So the clue you have to pick up is the hand wringing movement. So what is the gene defect associated with Rett syndrome?
Fox G1, sir.
Oh, that is atypical Rett. The classic Rett is MECP2 mutation.
Yes.
Yeah, you are right. FOXG1 is also associated, but it is atypical Rett. Yeah. So you should do MECP1, MECP2 gene deletion for this. Okay. So have a look at the eyes and pick up what is abnormality. Yeah. Do you want me to
Sir.
play again?
Yes, sir. Again, can you play again, sir?
Have a look only at the eyes. Now,
So saccadic intrusions are there, sir.
yeah, no, don't think too complex. It's simple pendular nystagmus.
Okay.
To and fro. Pendular nystagmus. The child presents with developmental delay and hypotonia. Okay, so tone abnormality. What does it relate to? Gray matter, white matter?
White matter, sir.
White matter. Nystagmus. Let us take this as a cerebellar symptom. Cerebellar system points towards gray matter or white matter?
White matter, sir.
White matter. So we did a MRI brain. This is the T2 weighted images of the MRI axial cuts. The child's age is 2 years. Okay. So by 2 years, in myelinated white matter, in T2, it should look dark. Can you look at the internal capsules and tell me, are they looking myelinated or unmyelinated in this MRI picture?
It's not dark, sir. So it's not in
It is
myelinated.
not dark. So it is not myelinated at all. So you can see none of the white matter is myelinated. The structures which get myelinated at birth are very early period, posterior limb of internal capsule, midbrain, dentate nucleus. So they are not myelinated. So this is a hypomyelinating condition. Okay. So it's the hypomyelinating leukodystrophy. Are you aware of any the prototype condition, hypomyelinating leukodystrophy?
Elijah of Marchbacker.
Excellent. Who is that? Shravya, who is that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is called PMD, Pelizaeus Merzbacher disease. Even if you say hypomyelinating leukodystrophy, that will be very good. It's called PLP1 mutation. So there are many other hypomyelinating conditions. You can go and read even some of the leukodystrophies, fucosidosis, Gaucher's. They're all hypomyelinating leukodystrophies. Okay, so we all know this. So what is a Gestalt diagnosis?
Eye of the tiger sign, sir.
Yeah, so this is the eye of the tiger sign. So this girl is having a generalized dystonic crisis. So this is pantothenate kinase associated neurodegeneration. You can see the hyperintensities of the medial bilateral globus pallidus interna, the surrounding rim of hypo intensity. So it is due to NBIA, neuronal brain ion accumulation. We have a spectrum of disorders which are under this category. Nowadays, newer options are also coming up. So, which drug is being explored for chelation of iron in NBIA? We can,
The desferrioxamine, sir.
yeah, even dextrosane. Nowadays, we try desferriprone.
Definitely. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So the older name is Haloden spot. Is eye of the tiger. Okay. So identify the phenomena, then the clue will be given. Yeah, now it's very classic. You got it? You want me to play again?
Yes.
Ritik, do you want to play again?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, what is it?
He had at least two different things. And one was sudden jerky myoclonus type movement and a dystonia on the distal arm, sir.
Yeah, so this is chorioacetosis. So the clue is he was a fair child. Now he has become darkened. He has undergone a hepatic transplantation, liver transplantation. So these are the clues: skin pigmentation and liver transplantation, and this chorioacetosis. Can you connect these three? Shravya.
Wilson's disease, sir.
Hemochromatosis.
No, this is Wilson's disease. So we had this KF ring. I have put the KF ring, the superior limbus. Classic panda sign, which is in the midbrain, and this is the lenticular striate hyperintensity, such as like swollen almost lenticular degeneration. So this is Wilson's disease. Yeah. So this may be a little bit difficult for you. So it's for pediatric neuro. So this is a girl who presents with a large head, but also presents with one episode of impact seizure. Impact seizure means, for example, you go and somebody hits with you a basketball, you had a seizure. That's an impact seizure. And mild ataxia on gait examination. This is the MRI, which shows extensive bilateral symmetric hyperintensities, and also there is a liquefaction of the bilateral temporal pole, suggestive of cystic changes in the bilateral temporal pole. So large head, cystic leukodystrophy like changes in the MRI. Anybody?
Canavan, sir.
Yeah, you are saying something.
So Canavan disease, sir.
Very close, very good the differential, but Canavan will not have this classic symmetrical temporal pole abnormality. Cyst, the clue here is cyst, temporal pole cyst, bilateral. I will give you some more clues if you are not able to pick up at this stage. The child belongs to an Agarwal family. So it is because of a confounder mutation, founder mutation in Agarwal family. Akshay, Shravya.
So the other, the macrocephaly Alexander is the other.
No, not Alexander. The disease was first described by Dr. B.S. Singhal, the famous neurologist from Mumbai, in India. The disease was first identified by a lady pediatric neurologist from Netherlands called Dr. Van der Naap.
Not sure, sir.
This is actually the commonest leukodystrophy in Indian population because of this mutation called megalencephalic leukodystrophy with subcortical cyst, also called MLC. MLC, also called as Van der Naap disease.
Yes, sir.
Megalencephalic leukoencephalopathy subcortical cyst. There are 3 mutations in this: MLC1, 2, and another mutation. So the treatment, there is no cure, but it is slowly progressive. One needs to, if they have seizures, anticonvulsant, avoid impact, and the most important is avoid trauma, fever, intercurrent illnesses, because these are the stages where they get decline. Okay, so you are speaking. So this is a very early infantile onset, large head, and this is a MRI. You can see a frontal predominance of the symmetrical white matter hyperintensities. So which leukodystrophy? So there is something called pattern recognition leukodystrophy. Your MRI, we should be able to see what pattern. So which will have a bilateral symmetric frontal predominance.
Alexander disease, sir.
Alexander, excellent. This is Alexander, large head. Okay. Diagnosis. So this is a tigroid or leopard skin-like appearance. Bilateral, symmetric. You can see dot like things. It is involving the periventricular white matter, symmetrical, but it spares the U fiber. That is the fibers around the gyri. U fiber.
Metachromatic leukodystrophy.
So this is a classic MRI of a metachromatic leukodystrophy called tigroid appearance. So in those days, urinary metachromatic sulfites and all those things were done. Even no biopsy for metachromatic granules were not done. Nowadays, we are only doing enzyme or genetic testing. What is the enzyme? Will you be able to say the enzyme? Aryl sulfatase A is the enzyme. It can present in early infantile, late infantile, even juvenile onset is also reported. Sometimes they may mimic like acute presentation of GBS. And if you do a nerve conduction, you may get a nerve demyelinating pattern. So, but it is not GBS. So you have to be very careful in such. Rather than GBS, CIDP like presentations are well known.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Diagnosis.
Adrenoleukodystrophy.
Excellent. You have a posterior predominance in the bilateral occipital region, and the skin is hyperpigmented in the knuckles. He's a boy. Adrenoleukodystrophy. There are many presentations of adrenoleukodystrophy. Only Addisonian presentation. That is no neurological form. Then you have the classic childhood cerebral onset form. Then you have the adult onset or juvenile onset forms. Then you can have only premature ovarian failure in females, in the carriers. You can have the classic adult onset adenomyeloneuropathy. So this is a spectrum. So this is because of a peroxisomal protein defect, ABCD1 gene. And what is the biochemical screening test?
Very light chain fatty acids.
Very long chain fatty
Okay.
acid estimation. P27 is a number, and of course confirmation is the genetic testing. So if you have a say a patient who is in a pre-symptomatic or very early symptomatic stage, what would you do with that patient?
Gene therapy, sir.
Slightly think you are on the right track, but
Stem cell transplant.
so if the MRI is showing an involvement, but the patient's neurological system is not much involved, we do something called Loewe score, LOES. And if the Loewe score is less than 8, we refer the patient for allogenic hematologic stem cell transplantation, which has been found to be successful. So this is one of the leukodystrophy cancer, Krabbe's and Gaucher's, mucopolysaccharidosis. All these disorders now hematological stem cell transplantation has come up. And what is that oil which is used empirically in some places but may not have much success? Which is a mix of your combinations of very long chain fatty acids.
Lorenzo's.
Lorenzo oil. Okay, so direct. The clue is boy and these pictures. Self-mutilation. Lesch-Nyhan syndrome. So this boy presented with developmental delay, severe dystonic crisis, self-mutilation. He would even chew his lips, and you can see the fingers getting mutilated. What will be the screening biochemical test, Akshay? Screening biochemical test.
Uric acid, sir.
Uric acid. So this is a disorder of purine pyrimidine metabolism, and the enzyme defect is HGPRT synthase. So uric acid will be elevated. So the treatment is allopurinol to reduce the uric acid. That may give some symptomatic relief, but the disease is relentlessly progressive. There is no cure. Life expectancy is limited. Lesch-Nyhan syndrome. X-linked recessive, females are carriers. Okay. So this is a child who so 1 year old who presented to us with a kind of hypotonia, the developmental lag, and some loss of recently acquired milestones. On examination, this was the classic finding noted: hyperpigmentation of knuckles, dorsum of feet, and the knee. On probing, the child was exclusively breastfed up to 9 months of age, and the mother is a pure vegetarian. So, what is the first biochemical test you will do?
B12, sir.
Yeah, so vitamin B12 and MCV, CBC. So this is a very common situation. You have to look for treatable causes before, because very rarely neurodegenerative disorders are treatable. So you should never miss a treatable cause. So this child was supplemented with B12 and she showed significant improvement when the skin changes regress. So sometimes they may develop tremor. So what is that entity called? Anybody?
Pseudoacidosis, sir.
Infantile tremor syndrome. It's a rare condition, very common in North India. Infantile tremor syndrome due to B12 deficiency. Okay, so this is a boy who came to us. He has undergone a kidney transplantation. The clue is kidney transplantation, and he is on enzyme replacement therapy from a center on a compassionate basis. So connect this skin finding kidney transplantation and enzyme replacement therapy, boy.
Fabry, sir.
Excellent. So what is the skin finding?
Truncal angiokeratoma.
This is a kind of a purplish papular pigmentation seen over the scrotum, axillae, groin. This is angiokeratoma. So treatable causes HIV, B12, infantile tremor syndrome, even sometimes autoimmune encephalitis will mimic like your neurodegeneration. Nowadays, enzyme replacement therapy, substrate reduction therapy, chaperone therapy, gene therapies are coming up in a big way. So these are the ERT, enzyme replacement therapy, which has been approved. Gaucher's, Pompe, Fabry's, MPS 1, 2, 4, under trials, Niemann-Pick, GM1. So don't think neurodegenerative disorders are not at all curative. Some of them are curative. And some of the EEG findings. Specific treatments are available like metachromatic, Rabi, bone marrow transplantation, adrenoleukodystrophy, that Lorenzo oil, VLCFA, low diet bone marrow transplant, MPS bone marrow transplant, enzyme replacement, Menkes, copper histidine. Mitochondrial, of course, will give a mitochondrial cocktail. Wilson disease, penicillamine triantide chelation. Refsum disease is reduction of phytanic acid. Lesch-Nyhan, allopurinol. Fabry's enzyme replacement therapy. Above and all, counseling the families, educating is very important because many disorders can be antenatally diagnosed. So prevention of genetic counseling and subsequent pregnancy is very important. I think we are done. Thank you very much. Any questions?
No, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Shankar sir, any comments, sir? Any? Is he there? Sir is there?
I think he's not there, sir. I think might have got a call.
Okay. So I think you should go read your adult neuro books. What are the neurodegenerative disorders which can present in adulthood? We have seen few disorders in adulthood also. We should not miss. Particularly a treatable entity.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was it useful?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Surely, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
ஹலோ
Hello.
கார்த்தினா
சொல்லுங்க சொல்லுங்க.
முடிஞ்சதுண்ணே மீட்டிங் முடிஞ்சது.
சரி ஓகே ஓகே.
ஓகே.
ஹலோ சார். ஹலோ. சரி ஓகே அப்படியே லீவ் இட்.
ஓகே. எனக்கு காசு வராது.